When I say the name Gary Sheffield, most of you guys will think of one of the elite bats in the 90s and early 2000s, one of the all-time home run hitters and possibly a future Hall of Famer. But for fans of Milwaukee, it's a completely different story.
Shout out to everyone on here. If you want to see your name on here, link is down in the description.
When the Milwaukee Brewers selected Gary Sheffield as the 6th overall pick in 1986, they hoped he could be another elite bat in the lineup with future Hall of Famers Robin Yount and Paul Molitor to help them get back to the World Series, which they were just in 4 years ago at that time. He did turn into an elite bat during his pro career, just not with Milwaukee. Sheffield was drafted out of high school and was regarded as one of the best prep hitters in history at that time. Milwaukee honestly didn't believe they'd be able to get him, as he had just been named the Gatorade High School Player of the Year. They were more than happy to take him 6th overall, and after they did, the Brewers sent him to the minor leagues. But that happiness quickly faded as his childish antics started almost right away. Sheffield had never even heard of the Brewers, and when he was told he was selected by them, he had asked where they even play. He did originally hold out, but eventually the Brewers gave him his $152,000 sign bonus and sent him to Helena, their rookie ball affiliation. Already not starting off on the prettiest of turns with him not knowing where the Brewers play and holding out, but this was nothing compared to what was coming. Gary Sheffield was only 17 during his first professional season. He drove around in his new red Corvette, which he bought with his bonus money, wore a gold grill with his initials on it, and a lot of other bright, sparkly stuff he wore on the rest of his body. Of course, you see all this stuff in today's game, but it was a lot different in the 80s. He was great and he knew that, so he showed up to the office like it every day. On the field, though, he showed it also by hitting .365, .413, .640, and 1,052 OPS with 15 home runs, and also walked more times than he struck out in 57 games. He went on to win the league's MVP award and was named Baseball America's Player of the Year. This is also before he even turned 18 years old. The Milwaukee Brewers knew they had a very special player after that 1986 season.
If you want to see the next stars in action, or the current stars, or literally anything that requires a ticket, then go to SeatGeek, buy some tickets, use code BREWPACK, and you got yourself $20 off your next purchase.
In 1987, the Brewers started him in single A, and his antics continue there. He missed a team blast and was fine. He didn't run out a ground ball and was benched because of that. And his wildest one was when he was charged with an error on a throw in from the outfield. He yelled at the scorer, which of course resulted in no benefit to him. Then, still fuming from the error, Sheffield threw a ball so hard and up in the stands the next inning. Just insane. The reporters loved Sheffield's talent, but they also included worries about him getting lazy, his troubles with authorities, that included running with the police, and his drug tests, even though he passed every single one of them. Throughout all of this, he was referred to as the #1 prospect in all of baseball. The hype was real, his bat that is. His defense was different. He struggled mightily with 39 errors in 129 games during that 1987 season, possibly foreshadowing down the road. 1988. Sheffield yet again raked in the minors, but when the Brewers needed help due to injuries at the big league club and being in a pennant race, he got the call to make his MLB debut and instantly got the team starting shortstop job. And again, the Brewers desperately needed to win. He did this for his first major league hit.
Sixth. Fly ball deep to left field. Goodbye baseball. His first home run in the major leagues and his first hit as a big leaguer.
His second big league hit, a walk-off single to get the Brewers a huge win for their playoff hope. Gary Sheffield was only 19. He was here and he was going to lead Milwaukee to a championship. Unfortunately for the Brewers, they came up 2 games short of the playoffs in 1988, but they knew their future was very bright. As a 20-year-old going into 1989, he had huge expectations and was the clear favorite for AL Rookie of the Year going into the season. It didn't take long for that hype to die down quickly as he struggled out of the gate. One of the main problems of the Gary Sheffield era in Milwaukee was he saw himself as a shortstop and only a shortstop. The Brewers thought a little differently. When Paul Molitor was injured, the Brewers put Sheffield at third base and put their first-round pick from 1987, Bill Spears, at shortstop. They made this move simply because Spears was a better defensive shortstop than Sheffield was. This started what was about to come in Milwaukee. Sheffield really did not like that he was put at third base, while he felt like a less talented white player was put at short. I mentioned race because it's a big part of what made him upset. Sheffield wasn't only upset about this. He felt the Brewers pitchers were soft and didn't retaliate if he got thrown at first. In a late May game, he got hit and saw only 3 of his teammates on the top step that would help him if he did decide to charge the mound. Sheffield went off about the entire Brewers organization over this. He told the media that the team treated white players better than black players, the coaching staff didn't respect him, and that his teammates didn't have his back. He told a reporter, quote, "If I don't see no difference in about a month, I want to be out of here. If not, I'll just leave." He did take his comments back the next day, but it doesn't matter what you say. You can't take comments back like that. Teammates also made it clear that they weren't big fans of him and didn't really care if he was gone or not. Personality issues and laziness were yet again words used by reporters about Gary Sheffield in the papers. By the dog days of summer, he was complaining about his foot hurting, yet team doctors cleared him and the Brewers suspected he was faking an injury to make an excuse for his below average play on the field. He was sent down to AAA while Bill Spears was given the starting shortstop job. This made Sheffield extremely mad, as he told a reporter, quote, "The black players are expected to produce right then and there, but the white guys just show up." He did eventually get called back up for the injured Mulder at third again, but he ended the season with poor stats overall. For a guy who's supposed to have big power numbers, he only had 5 home runs in 102 games that season. Milwaukee did try to trade him that offseason with a very high asking price. And a little fun fact I found out while doing this is the Pirates were interested, but the Brewers wanted Barry Bonds back in the trade. Imagine Bonds, Mulder, and Yount in a lineup together. But as we all know, that trade didn't happen, and Sheffield still remained a Brewer going in the 1990 season. By the time that 1990 season rolled around, it was more than clear that Sheffield was fed up with the Brewers, and one of his multiple complaints was there were no veteran black players that could offer him any leadership, which he wasn't wrong about. I'm not sure if this following move was a direct result of Sheffield's comments, but they went and hired Don Baylor as their hitting coach and signed 39-year-old Dave Parker as a free agent. Baylor just recently got out of the league 2 years ago at that time and won MVP during his 19-year career. Parker was just about to finish up his soon-to-be 19-year career and also won MVP during his stay with the Pirates. Regardless if it was because of Sheffield's complaints or not, the Brewers answered and got him exactly what he wanted. And Sheffield responded by having the best season of his young career, a 771 OPS, 116 OPS plus, and more walks and strikeouts. It wasn't elite numbers, but it showed huge signs of progression and a promise for the future without many complaints from him during the season. The Brewers as a team, on the other hand, finished 74-88, which was 6th place in the American League East. With the Brewers in 1990 14 games under 500, they decided to trade 39-year-old Dave Parker and made Bill Spears the team's starting shortstop. I don't think you need me to tell you how this made Sheffield feel. They traded one of the only veteran black players on the team and gave his position away to a quote-unquote less talented white man, who actually had a solid overall season in 1991. Sheffield was done, and he showed it with his play and his voice. He didn't run when he was supposed to during a spring training game and got fined by the team because of it. And a couple days before opening day, he said this about the then Brewers GM. Quote, "He's ruining this team, and he's going to keep ruining it because as far as I'm concerned, he doesn't know so much about this game. My respect is done for him. I don't care what he does or says to me." Yet again, Sheffield is mad. Nothing new. What was new is he thought Paul Mulder was a spy and was trying to get information on him to give to the GM. Sheffield was out a lot of the early 1991 season due to injury, and when he was playing, he was simply horrible. He eventually ended up with a shoulder injury, and that was the last time he played in a Milwaukee Brewers uniform. While Sheffield was on the injury list for the rest of the season, the Brewers went on and won
40 out of their next 59 games.
almost proving how much of a cancer he was to the team. Before the 1992 season, he still was technically on the team, and yet again he ripped the organization, but this time he only did it to force his way off the team. Some just wanted to release the cancer off the team, but the new GM found a trade partner for him in San Diego and got 3 players back. All 3 players were solid for Milwaukee, but not a fraction of what Gary Sheffield's career turned out to be. A couple of months after being in San Diego, he was asked briefly about his time in Milwaukee and said, quote, "It was just a waste of time." Leaving was the only positive then. He was asking later in his near 1992 MVP season about the Brewers that would officially make every Brewers fan hate him for the rest of the time. Quote, "The Brewers brought out the hate in me. I was a crazy man. I hated Dalton so much that I wanted to hurt the man. I hated everything about the place. I didn't even want to come to the ballpark. If I missed a ball or something, so what? If the scorer gave me an error I didn't think was an error, I'd say, okay, here's a real error, and I'd throw the next ball into the stands on purpose." Which pretty much confirmed he'd intentionally make errors that would hurt the team in games he played. He denies that part, but he said it himself, and why would anyone in Milwaukee give him any type of benefit of the doubt? The Brewers finished 1992, 92, and 70, which is 9 games better than they finished the previous season. Unfortunately for them, they still came up in second place and 4 games back of first. Of course, Sheffield wouldn't have had the season he did in San Diego and Milwaukee that season, but it's hard to argue against that. If Sheffield put up those numbers with the Brewers in 1992 or any of the other seasons, they came oh so close to a playoff spot for 2008, that they wouldn't have gone 26 years of the franchise without making the postseason. Sheffield got caught for steroids in 2004, almost confirming he'll never be in the Hall of Fame regardless of how good his career was, especially considering Barry Bonds is still not and fell off the ballot this past year. When you look at most MLB stars throughout the years, you picture them in one uniform when you hear their name, even if they played for multiple different clubs. But it's different with Sheffield's career. The team he was with the longest, Milwaukee Brewers, if you count his minor league seasons, and I can promise you the Brewers don't associate themselves with this man. He was with 8 teams throughout his 22-year career, and he produced almost everywhere he was, except Milwaukee, yet he couldn't stay with one team. Makes you wonder what he did behind the scenes in those locker rooms too. Gary Sheffield has been hated on in Milwaukee since some of his first hateful comments in 1989, and nothing has changed more than 30 years later, as Gary Sheffield continues to be the most hated man in Milwaukee.